Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. You're on with Doc and Andie.
Good morning, Doug.
Good morning.
So let's talk about first of all, let's talk about what you've been through. Tell everybody what has happened.
5 years ago, I was hit by a pickup truck while I was riding my bicycle in West Philadelphia. I was riding down Lancaster Avenue. Next thing I know, I'm waking up in a hospital.
Oh, my gosh.
About 4 weeks later, wondering what had happened.
You lost 4 weeks?
I was in a coma for 2 weeks, and then I was in what they call post-traumatic amnesia for another 2 weeks, which made it so that I couldn't remember anything.
Now, how old were you when this was happening?
I was 20.
Oh, my gosh.
So what did you have to go through? I imagine there's a ton of rehab you had to go through. And how long did all this take?
I went through about 6 weeks of inpatient rehab and months of outpatient rehabilitation.
So when you woke up, though, Doug, what did you see? What were you thinking? What were the doctors telling you?
I woke up, and as soon as I could, make sense that I was actually in a hospital room, I couldn't believe it. When you have an injury like this, you wake up and you say to yourself, I don't know why I'm here in this bed. And when I woke up, I was in what they call a veil bed, which is a bed so that when you start making sense of where you are, you don't try to escape.
Oh, gosh. So were you, tied up?
No. The veil bed is kind of just like a cloth jail cell.
Oh,
I got you. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Was anybody there when you actually came out of your coma?
Well, the thing is, you don't wake up out of a coma in a matter of minutes. It takes really a period of time. My family was there every day, most of the day. And when I finally came to, parents would tell me that there were some things that definitely stood out. Past the point that my family was told that I am not in a coma anymore because there are different stages of comas. So a few hours after it, they asked me, or someone asked me, how are you doing today? Of course, I don't remember this, but this is the kind of thing that I would do. I was really upset. I must have been really upset that I couldn't actually speak because I had a tracheotomy put in my throat. So I had to write everything down. And I wanted to be kind of like a jerk, I think. I'm only guessing. So I answered the person who asked me how I was doing with Japanese. I said, Hiyo tenki desu ne, which means it's a good day. So here I was, hours out of a coma, writing Japanese.
Did you know Japanese before you went into the coma?
Yes. Okay. I learned it through high school.
Okay, funny. So you were a real smartass.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to give people a run for their money.
Yeah. All right. So you're waking up from the coma. Did they tell you right away what happened? I mean, did you feel like I just want to get up and go home, but you couldn't, or what?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. I wanted to go home. But I was in 2 hospitals. I was first in the hospital at the University of Pennsylvania for the 2 weeks or so that I was in a coma. And those 2 weeks, I don't have any memory of it. But when I finally, got out of a coma, people were telling me constantly, this is what happened. And it took until after those 2 weeks of amnesia that I had that I started to really go, oh, my God, wait, they're telling me I was unconscious, I was hit by a truck and all these things. And I didn't believe it. I went through a stage where I just thought that everything was a dream. I thought that I was sleeping. So I slept every moment that I could possibly sleep. I was just like, maybe if I go back to sleep, I'll wake up.
Right, and everything will be back to normal.
Uh-huh.
So what else were there injuries? Obviously, you had a brain injury, but was anything else broken physically?
Yeah, I got very fortunate with that, but I did shatter my left arm. I must have tried to save my fall or save something. So I've got 2 plates in my left arm, and I broke another bone in my hand when that happened. And the rest of what I broke was the bicycle and the bicycle helmet.
Wow, that's amazing. So really, your head took the brunt of all of this.
It did, and I was fortunate. My injury was known as a diffuse traumatic brain injury. That's when the brain, or the skull doesn't break, but the brain kind of jumbles around in there enough to get scarred by the tiny little imperfections in your skull.
Mm-hmm.
The other amazing part here is when all was said and done, you got back on with your life, and then you finished up education at Drexel.
I did, and I had no idea what my life would be like after I got out of rehab and started getting back in the real world.
What had the doctors told you? What were your expectations after all of this?
My expectations were different than anyone else's. Everyone else wanted me to just simply be able to live a life. after I had gotten out of whatever I was getting out of.
Right. Just be thankful you're alive. Take what God has given you. Move on, kind of a thing, right?
That's exactly it. They didn't know if I would get back to walking, get back, being a student at all. They thought that, I wouldn't be capable of the higher level functions of college. And when I asked them, can I get back on the bike, a lot of the doctors were like, I don't think that's in the cards. And I definitely had my parents going, I'm not really sure how this is going to work. But my parents, family, friends were all, optimistic. And I kept pushing towards being tested for balance, being tested for all kinds of things so that I could eventually one day be able to ride my bike again, just because everyone was telling me I couldn't, and also because it's been what I've loved for years.
Okay, so you finally get through rehab. You go back to school. What did Drexel think? Were they like, are you crazy? You're a brain injury.
They did think that it was a bit crazy, but they have a really excellent Office of Disabilities at Drexel. And what they did was they had me set up with any kind of additional resources that I might need. So I was given the opportunity, which I didn't take, to, have, different testing arrangements done. I could, have note takers in class if I wanted them. And I spent a year after getting back to college trying to stay in the engineering field that I was trying to get in. And so I got a lot of really, really bad grades through that year.
Yeah.
And I realized that I didn't remember a lot of what I had learned.
So it was like starting all over again.
It was. It very much was. And I have always been a problem solver, so I initially wanted to be an engineer so that I could solve a lot of the challenges that we have in the world. Then I decided, I've got to still stick to this idea of changing problems, so I decided to become a teacher. After a long process of people telling me, yes, it's okay, you can change your life.
Wow. Okay. So when did you decide to get back on the bike and take on this challenge that you're about to undergo?
I got back on the bike almost a year past my injury, a little before a year past my injury.
That's pretty quick.
And it was very quick. And I was not whatsoever fully recovered, and I'm never going to be fully recovered from my injury. But doctors did everything they could to keep me from getting on the bike, and then finally they realized that everything physically was there. It was just a matter of whether I was mentally ready.
So when you say that you're never going to be back to normal, I mean, just talking to you sound normal to me. So what is wrong with you?
Mainly what I've got a lot of issues with is a lot of memory problems. Okay. I have a horrible ability to remember a lot of details from my life before the accident and even after, so I have to take a lot of notes. And as a new teacher here at school, which I'm at right now, it took me a lot of the year to remember any of my students' names. But aside from that, I have a lot of problems with fatigue. It's a big issue for a lot of traumatic brain injury survivors. If we don't eat properly, our mind just kind of fades, and we can't really communicate very well.
How about your decision-making skills? Because, I'm listening to what's wrong, and it sounds like things that you're able to compensate for, like, you're taking notes, and perhaps students in your class could wear name tags or something like that until you get it all down. But, if you get fatigued and now you're going to ride your bike across the country...
That could be a problem.
Yeah.
Yes. I have had to do a lot of compensating for the injuries and the difficulties that I have. Mm-hmm. What I do is I try to sequester different memories in different parts of my brain that I didn't do before. So basically, when someone tells me my name is Bob, I try to remember something that starts with a B, and I picture that, and that's what gives me the ability to remember Bob for a little bit longer, and then it often just goes away. So I'm right now in a classroom. You can hear a little chitter-chatter of the students that I'm helping support teach. And when they were all sitting down and I was telling them the story of what this interview is, I messed up a few names just then.
That's okay. Now, let's talk about this. June 27th, you're going to get on a bicycle to raise awareness and go right across the country. Is this like, do you plan on making it there by the end of the summer?
Yes, I very much do. That's my mission. That's what I'm devoted to making sure that I can accomplish. And there's just so many aspects of my whole goal that I know that just making it across the country isn't the only thing. I'm going to be trying to raise awareness for traumatic brain injury through the many towns that I ride through. I'm going to be speaking with hundreds and thousands of people if I can, and telling them about what it is, just like I'm telling you about traumatic brain injury. But I'm also going to be raising funds for a foundation called the Raising Hope Foundation. And lastly, I'm going to show everyone and hopefully inspire everyone that, you can recover from an injury like this as best as you see it fit to to recover.
That's great, Doug. Now, where are you taking off from? Where will it start?
I'm starting in San Francisco, California at the Janet Pomeroy Center.
Mm-hmm.
And then coming to Philadelphia?
Yes. Well, actually, I'm passing Philadelphia and heading straight to the Atlantic Ocean. I'm going to be stopping in Toms River, New Jersey.
And how do your parents feel about this?
They're really optimistic, and I really wonder why they're so optimistic about it. It took me a while to make the decision to spend so much time on the bike. And they just said to me, if this is something you need to do because you've wanted to do this ever since you were able to think about getting back on a bike, they said you're gonna do it, and we know you can.
That's awesome. Because honestly, my gut would be like, "There's no way you're getting on that bike, young man. You are still my son."
It's called the Raising Hope Foundation. For people that want to help you out and send some money, how do they go about doing that, Doug?
I would suggest that they go to the blog website that I've set up about my whole mission. What's really kind of awesome and exciting about what I'm doing is I'm going to be updating everyone on a daily or bi-daily basis. They'll be able to track where I am all across the country. They'll be able to track what I'm doing on my blog and, learn a little bit more about traumatic brain injury. So if you have the time, I suggest everyone check out DougTrails.wordpress.com. I'll spell that for you. That's DougTrails.wordpress.com.
Good stuff. Well, good luck to you, Doug, and keep us posted.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will.